G'day, I'm Jamie MacKay from the country. With me I've got Chris Brenan from Nufarm, and we're going back to the 1980s just because we can, and my plant collection from Lincoln College, and I've got with me a handful of weeds. We're going to identify these and see which of them Tribal Gold can sort out. Now, the most predominant weed in this new pasture, Chris, is the fat hen.
Yep, that's correct, Jamie. And fat hen is a very common weed following cropping. You normally don't see as much of it if you've come straight from grass to grass, but when you've cropped the paddock, fat hen will be one of the most common weeds that comes. Fat hen itself looks bad, but is relatively easy to knock over. Most of your standard pasture formulations will knock it over.
So Chris, here's our next pasture criminal, the good old dock.
The good old dock. Jamie, if you've prepared your pasture properly at spray out time, you won't have docks of this size. Docks, once they get leaves of this size in new grass, are very hard to control unless you spot spray them. But dock seedlings, Tribal Gold does a very good job on.
Right, let's move on to shepherd's purse.
Again, shepherd's purse is one of those weeds that the standards pasture praise struggle with. However, if you use a product like Tribal Gold, which has flumethyl in it, will be no problem at all to knock these over.
Now, these can be a real problem. That's actually a wee bit of wild turnip.
Yep, and so wild turnip is a real problem in some parts of the country, not that present in others. The standard Tribal Gold application will remove it quite happily, while small.
Here's a weed almost good enough to eat. In fact, a lot of people do eat it, the old chickweed.
Very good in salads, primarily only the annual. Don't try it with the mouse head. But again, that's a particular problem weed. Looks easy to kill, but in fact you need some flumethyl, which is in the Tribal Gold, to remove it.
Now, in Southland we call it yar with a rolling R, and the North Island they call it spurry.
I had no idea what they were talking about when they called it yar, but yep, spurry, again, a real problem weed for standard formulations. You need the additives that are in Tribal Gold for that.
How many of these nasties does Tribal Gold
all of these weeds. Only one it will struggle with is semi-mature docks, or docks growing from old root cuttings, which can happen if the docks aren't dead at cultivation time. You end up chopping the roots up, and sometimes you'll end up with a lot of docks growing from root cuttings.